Well, good evening, Star Wars fans. Coming to you live with another exciting edition of Holotheatre. As always, I'm Dan Tartaglione, better known as D Tartag1. Joining me tonight is the one and only, the founder, essentially, of the Texas Mini Worlds online event, Robbie. Robbie Hendon. How you doing tonight, Robbie?
Oh, pretty good. How about you, Dan?
I can't complain. Got a lot
Well,
to
you
talk about
can.
tonight. Well, I can complain, but nobody's going to really listen.
Right.
But we got a lot to talk about tonight. Kendall Halman did another interview. If you
Yep.
watched last week's episode, he did a 15-minute interview with Kevin Yop, who is basically in charge of graphics at this point. He does a lot of the cool AIs, he does a lot of the foil printing and everything. So he's the one to thank for all the cool OCS foils, all the extra, like if you play in a live event, the foils for pre-registrations, everything. That's all Kevin Yap. Uh, Tonight, Kendall interviewed the tournament advocate, Mr. Chris Schoenthal. Chris, who has been the tournament advocate for as long as I can remember.
I
Like,
think since like '08.
yeah, he's been in there for a while, and he's one of the longer running advocates for the PC. So, yeah,
Yeah, I
Kendall,
think
we got
I
that.
think he's only behind Scott right now.
Yeah, because Chris Kelly's kind of new. Matt's kind of been there for a while, but
He was
uh,
after Schoenthal.
yeah, he was after Schoenthal. Chris Menzel was also after Schoenthal.
Tim Simon,
Tim Simon's been there a while.
he
As
just took a little bit of time off and let uh I can't remember his name now. Let somebody else step up for a few.
Yeah, but yeah, for the advocates, there's nobody like we said. Like you said, Scott's the longest running, but then Chris is probably the current one who is the second behind Scott. But
Right.
we got that coming up a little bit later. As for right now, we have some just from general information to go over with what some of the things that the PC is doing. The first one is the OCS playoffs. They are still going on. As you
Yep.
can see, we have three of the top four currently. Uh, Connor Britton, Justin Desai, and Bastion Winklehouse. Uh, Paul Myers and Eric Hunter are scheduled to play both their games this coming Sunday, November 1st at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So once we get them locked in, we'll figure out what.
Top four matchups.
Yeah, we'll figure out the possible matchups when Eric and Connor or Paul and Connor will be playing, and when Justin and Bastion will be playing. So stay tuned to the PC for more information on that. And good luck to the five remaining people, because once this wraps up, that will be the end of the OCS for this year.
Right. And the only thing left is Worlds.
Yeah, and that's a good segue because.
Oh, wait. Before we segue, I do have one thing to add to that OCS
Okay.
top 8, because we talked about it when they first started. If you bring it back up real quick, I just really wanted to point this out to all our
Oh,
friends and viewers back home.
yes.
But if you look on there, when you and I had Greg Shaw on here, and we're
Uh huh.
asking him about if the new allies were going to take 2 of the top 4, looks like they just got skunked out of the top 4.
They did. Connor came out and just said, who are these new allies that I'm hearing about? They're
Right,
nobody.
right,
He took down
and
B. Fred and Drew to
yep.
get to the top four. So congrats to Connor for doing his part. Uh, Greg kind of had a little bit of a harder way.
Yeah,
He had to go through two members of KTOD, Steve
right.
Baroni, and then Justin Desai to get there.
And
So
he got half the job done.
yeah,
He did not get past Justin Desai, who is a beast in his own right.
yeah.
So,
So here's my question to you, Robbie. Who do you like in the Justin Desai Bastion matchup?
uh, so it's hard to vote against the 3-time world champion and current reigning 2-time world champion
True.
in Bastion, but Justin will. If Justin wants to win, Justin can give anybody a run for his money. I mean, Justin's a 2-time champion himself with 2 second place finishes. He's
Mm-hmm.
played since the beginning. Him and Bastion have been playing together for a long time too, so they know each other really well. So it's not like Justin's gonna back down or anything.
No.
I honestly think Justin's going to pull it off. And then I really like Connor, but I think Paul might pull up the win this weekend and then get to the finals against Justin, and we'll have a 1 versus 2 in the finals. I mean, Paul's been playing really well all season. Justin's been playing well all season. I don't see any reason to vote against them.
So I'm going to say this. I want to say my top 2 are still alive. I have Justin and Eric Hunter in the finals. So I'm going to stick with that. Like, don't get me wrong, Paul is a really good player. Connor's a really good player. And as you said, Bastion, how can you pick against the guy? But my gut said Eric and Justin. I'm going to stick with my gut at the beginning. So
right. And the other nice thing is Justin and Bastion is kind of the matchup a lot of us were expecting in Texas Mini Worlds before MHT pulled all those upsets. So we're getting to see what we were kind of thinking we were going to see in Texas Mini Worlds now too. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just wanted to add on to that while we're...
Oh, that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine because we were going to talk about Worlds, but before we go into Worlds, I just want to, speaking of Bastion, Bastion and his team in the Euro Cup, they came out to play, and they were able to take control of the Euro Cups. So as you can see on the forums, right here, a German, an Englishman, and a Canadian walk into a bar. I just cannot stop saying about this, but besides the point, they were able to win the European Cup 4-1 over the H-Town crew. Bastion won both of his games. Alex and Silverglen split, and then MHT ended up winning the first game between him and CRG. That's all he needed to do was win that first game. So congrats to a German, an Englishman, and a Canadian walk into a bar. You know what? First of all, I'm just going to say it this way. Say this. I cannot stop saying that name. That name is a great name. I love it. It's a little bit of a tongue twister, but at the same time, really creative because essentially that's what they are, correct?
No, Silverglen's not an Englishman.
Ooh.
He's a Welshman. There's no such thing as Englishmen. They're all just Welsh inside.
Oh, wow. Robbie, a bit of a call out there. Okay, but yeah, congrats to them for winning the Euro Cup.
Yeah, I had a feeling our team might have been able to do it if I could stop getting DQ'd on playing illegal cards in the virtual reality format.
Well, that's your biggest... Yeah.
Dude, that was... I mean, it was so tough trying to build decks for that because GIMP doesn't tell you really if it's rare or not. Yeah. And so I was going back and forth between Scomplink and GIMP and trying to pull things, and then you're like, oh, I got this idea, I'll throw it in here, and you forget to check the rarity of it, and you're like, oh, I got blown out by this card being rare because why would Decipher want to give us good rares way back when, and they give us all this crap that you would expect to be uncommon, and you're like, oh, this sucks. Yeah. And so it became just a point where I just want to play 60 virtual cards and not worry about it because I can't figure out what's rare and what's not anymore.
Yeah.
It was fun. I thought the no rare thing really, really put some limitations on there to where there were some decks that you just couldn't play because
that's what makes the difference between a good player and a scrub like you, Robbie.
Hey, to be fair, my first round opponent also played rares.
Well, okay.
We DQ'd each other, and then I did beat Ryan in our matchup, but I had rares in my dark side deck, which is the game I lost anyway. But it was definitely like, oh crap, that's a rare. Oh crap, that's a rare. I mean, I think Cohen, who was my first round opponent, he got knocked out in all 3 of his because of having random rares. Yeah. And it's really hard when GIMP doesn't force you and tell you, hey, you can't play this, stupid. It's a rare. And But I mean, it was still a fun format. I definitely enjoyed, playing the games when you could figure out what's not rare and everything.
Yeah. What
I
what
definitely
decks
like
did,
the.
what deck did you play, or
I
what decks did you
played.
play?
I played Legend for light all 3 games, and I
Okay.
played CCT for dark.
Yeah.
I thought about switching over at the last game and playing um, core, either SSA or
Okay.
core CRV, and doing the old Shizor sites pulling with the CRV and going
Oh,
kind of
okay.
like that old balance package that
Yeah.
that CRV deck used to run. And because I mean, you had a lot of strong characters for both sides, and you had a lot of strong
Mm-hmm.
space and things like that. It was finding the right amount of deck space to fit everything in. And you still
Mm.
had a surprisingly number of good EPPs. You could drop Vader
Yeah.
Betrayer and still have a saber for him.
Yeah.
Dooku had his saber and was there. If you wanted to play a Palpatine, you could. He wasn't as
Yeah.
good if you're playing for diff, but he's still not a terrible one.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
he's still a Dark Jedi. I mean,
right,
you don't get
and you
Force Lightning or anything, but
right, um, and then you can play. There were still a lot of good cards.
mm-hmm.
I just thought I could get CCT to work, and then I kept playing Jabba's. I played Jabba's Prisoner in game 2, which is a rare or a premium card from
Jabba's prison.
Reflections.
Oh,
Yeah, the
the
Jabba's Prize. It's a premium card for
yeah.
Reflections too, and I was like, oh my
Yeah.
god. So when I was searching rares, yeah, it didn't come up because it's not a rare; it's a premium card. I was like, God dang it. So
Well, that's where you got to know your cards, man.
yeah,
Like,
and I mean, it's stuff that I knew years ago, but I
mm,
haven't had to think about in so long that
yeah.
it threw me off. But I thought Legend was really good for that format, but there
Mm-hmm.
was a lot of things that you could kind of skate by playing. Um, at times, I almost just wished it would have been a Highlander format instead of the no rares as well. But
Okay. Okay.
it added like the Highlander aspect. I thought was challenging and entertaining enough as it
Yeah.
was without closing everything else out. But
Mm-hmm.
it was like at this point it became almost like Highlander plus Java format combined. And so
Yeah.
it
And
was like, oh crap, what
I
do we
would like
do?
to see this format on GEMP for regular play.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think once they get it coded in,
yeah.
it won't be as bad.
No.
When Jim can sit there and go, "Hey, stupid, don't do this," and you're like, "Oh, okay."
So you want GEMP to hold your hand, is what I'm saying.
I want Gimp to tell me what's rare and what's not. Yes.
So
I don't care about that after that. I just wanted to tell me what's rare, what's if I'm playing an illegal deck.
that's fair. That's fair. So yeah, we as Robbie pointed out earlier, we do have a little bit more information on Worlds.
Yep.
Everything is still tentative though,
Right.
but we do have a somewhat kind of like a schedule. It's a tentative schedule, but it is a schedule. So day one is looking like it's going to be December 5th and 6th. It is going to be a pod format, kind of like with Texas Mini Worlds, but it looks like it's going to be 4 pods with rough start times. So, like, if you want to play on the Saturday at 4 a.m. Eastern, that's go ahead. If you want to play Saturday at 10 a.m. Eastern, go ahead. But looks like it's going to be along those lines. So that's going to be day one. Day two is going to be the week after. So 5th and 6th are going to be day one. Day two is going to be December 12th, so that's Saturday. So that's going to be open to anybody who qualifies on day one. And then you're going to have your top 8 literally the next day. So.
Right. And I know it says tentative, but when we're getting this kind of close to it,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't expect major changes from this. There may be some different start times, a
Yeah.
different pod added, or something along those lines. But I would imagine this is kind of the format we're going to do where your day one, you will pick one of these start times, play a pod.
Yeah.
They said the pods were going to be tried to balance based on numbers rather than strength of players and things of
Okay.
that nature. Um, I would imagine we'll probably be getting roughly 20 people a pod. I mean that would give us an 80
Yeah.
person event. We could get a little bit more get up to 25, maybe even 30 if
Mhm.
everybody signs up. And like you said, you'll play day one. I'm pretty sure the tentative part does not apply to the 6-game SOS either.
Yeah.
We'll play 6 games on day one. So you're looking at, at minimum of 6 hours, probably closer to 8 to 9 hours on day one.
Mhm.
So keep that in mind when you're picking your start times, that you're going to need to be there for 8 to 9 hours. There's going to be, breaks if you finish your game quick, and I would assume the start for the round would be lax for a couple minutes, like I tried to do at
Yeah.
Texas 3D Worlds, where it's like, hey guys, I posted the pairings, please find your opponent and start playing when you can. One of the things I do like, though, that they did with this is day 2. So everybody that goes 4-2 or better on day 1 will make day 2. So you could end up with, 18, 20 plus people making day 2. And what's really cool is you can your record from day 1, you'll play 4 games on day 2, and you'll add that to your record on day 1, and the top 8 is determined based on that 10-game standing. So if you go 4-2 on day 1, you need to win out and go 4-0 on day 2 to probably make top 8. If you start 6-0 day 1, then you can, maybe go 2-2 and kind of float through. But it's going to be it's interesting because we haven't done a format like that, I don't think, before, where you carried your record from one day to the next in Star Wars. It's been done in Magic and other games, so it'll be kind of interesting here. But yeah, it's going to be a long day 1, but you only have to play one of the games, and then day 2 is only going to be 4 games, so about 6 hours roughly, and then day 3 on that Sunday is going to be a long day as well for the person who goes all the way. But I think it's really kind of nice of a format. I don't suspect there will be a lot of changes. Like I said, I think at this point the tentative stuff is more start times and number of pods rather than the actual format. And one thing we didn't also mention is you will pick one light and one dark side deck for each day of the play. So day 1, you will pick one light, one dark, and you'll play that a whole day. Day 2, you can play the same decks as day 1, or you can switch. And then same thing with day 3. And none of the decks, they said, will be posted until the end of the whole event. So
which is fair,
right.
So I will say this. One other thing that the PC is looking for Worlds is, if you do not decide to play, we are looking for volunteers on this. Being that it is going to be a longer than normal event, if you want to volunteer, help run it, help organize like the pods and everything, help doing commentary. Commentary is going to be a big one. So if we can get as more people as possible for commentary, that would be great. So
right, and don't feel like if you're playing on like Sunday, you can help out and do commentary on Saturday.
Exactly.
If you're playing on Saturday, you can help out on Sunday and do commentary. You can't do commentary and you can't watch the stream while you're playing in your tournament, your pod event, but you can help out all the times around it. So don't be like, oh, I'm going to help stream and not play. Don't make that choice. You can do both.
Yeah, exactly. And for all of the information on Worlds, everything is under the 2020 World Championships on the forum. Just go to the main page, upcoming major events, and boom, 2020 Worlds. Just stay tuned to the forums for any information on it. And as we get information, we'll make sure to announce it as well.
Right, and you can also probably keep an eye on Twitter as well. I'm sure there will be an announcement on there when things are actually finalized.
Yeah, and Twitter's a good one. Slack, if you're not on Slack.
Right.
And there's actually another resource that we're going to talk about a little bit later for those who aren't aware of it. We have another resource that hopefully we can get a lot more people on, because that'd be great. But first things first, currently the PC.
And we're so bad at the segues. We're like skipping it so far. We're just
we're
like,
not skipping. We're right on track.
Yeah, we're just like, in the future, you're gonna hear us talking about this. I just think it's funny how we slip these segues in there.
I've been trying to get better on that myself. So, but right now, we do have one important piece of information to go over. Currently, the PC is we have our 2020 player survey. Every year, the PC tries to get out a survey to figure out where the players stand on the community. So this is a good way to go on and let the PC hear what you want to say. To find the survey, I know a lot of people receive PMs or emails regarding the survey, but as you can see, just go onto the main page, Star Wars CCG, the game, and if you're under the announcements, you can see that it will be right there. So again, it's just on the announcement page, right at the very top. Our communications advocate, that's another advocate that we forgot about, Keith, had posted this. So
I didn't forget about him. I just chose not to acknowledge Keith.
Ooh. So it is a good way to talk about to voice your opinion at the PC. We talk about everything from GIMP to prize support to formats. There's a lot of areas where you can go on and voice your opinion to the PC. And one thing is we make sure that these are read. So it's not like you just submit it and nobody hears it. Well,
yeah. In the previous surveys, they would usually post the results in a Google spreadsheet, and we could see a lot of the answers. There's a lot of room to kind of write in things that you want to add that you didn't feel like there was a spot for. It also will talk about card design. There's stuff in there about resets and rotations. What you'd like to see them design coming up. Like, do you want them to focus on certain movies or shows, or bring back stuff from Legacy?
Just not missions. Please, no missions.
Well, there goes my survey. Okay, all right, PC, you can just ignore what I wrote on there because apparently Dan doesn't want missions.
Okay, I'm gonna say this. Do you really think the average player wants missions back?
I don't know.
Okay,
that's why we have the survey.
Yeah, that's a good point.
But they made it really in depth in trying to get as much of the players' opinions and thoughts over quite a large scope this year. It was one of the larger surveys I remember them doing, and it is definitely a lot broader in topics. So if you do want to voice your opinion and you want it to be heard and read, that's the place to do it. I know the advocates will sit there and go through it and talk about it and come up with plans based on player feedback. They do value player feedback, and this is a great resource for them to get as much as they can. So, if you want it, this one takes a little bit longer, but usually it takes about 5-10 minutes. This one probably takes 10 to 20, depending on how in-depth answers and details you want to get into. But it really helps them out, and I really suggest people doing it. Also, vote to bring back Senator Jar Jar.
But yes, the survey, we ask that the survey is submitted by November 6th. That way we can get all this data and everything. Try and get it out as quick as we can. Maybe have some stuff out before Worlds, hopefully.
But, right. Some of it is, some of the survey topics would be more easily geared towards getting things back quicker. Like, there is a entire page, I believe, dedicated to our show, the Holotheatre. And and providing us feedback and thoughts and comments and ideas and anything else you want to add to it. So, we'll be able to look at that and turn those answers and turn that stuff around a lot faster than, things like design. Obviously, they can't push out a new set of cards while they're still trying to get set 13 out the door.
Yeah, if you're tired of me, just let me know. We'll get some other people on too. But
I gave you a segue to set 13.
Well, yeah. So we have a little bit more information on set 13. It was announced today via the design advocate Chris Kelly of the release date. When is it releasing, Robbie?
I believe it's the 9th of November, or the 7th. No, November 9th.
November 9th, because that's a Friday.
Right. So that is the tentative release date right now. I don't imagine it would get pushed back anymore unless they're having issues with graphics or proofing or programming the cards into GIMP. And even the programming would just delay it a couple days at most. It's not gonna push it back.
Being that a lot of the stuff's already programmed into GIMP for the playtesters and everything, I like it shouldn't be that hard to get it all programmed. It's mostly just going to be the graphics and the graphics images for GIMP. So we're on the home stretch, everybody.
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're about to have a huge new reset and wake up call to the meta.
No, this isn't I don't think it's a reset yet. This is maybe a.
No, I mean it's resetting the meta, the top decks. I mean, Lightside's losing TRM and possibly no idea when you combine the errata plus the
that's a good point.
V set. I mean, we had the errata come out, and that's already live in GIMP now for everybody that's watching. You can play with the new errata that has taken effect, but we're still in week 2, and so new meta plus new cards coming out. It's going to be a huge jolt to this meta that we've been stuck with for the last 6 months.
Yep. So, hey Robbie, what's your favorite time of the year?
Football season.
So besides football season, one of my favorite time of the year is the holiday gift exchange that normally goes on.
My bad.
So we have the holiday gift exchange is coming up. Ming has he has ran this for the last few years and everything, so he's going to be doing it again. As you can see, it's under the general discussion page if you want to sign up. It's a great way to get to know different people. It's a great way.
Hold on 1 second. I will be right back. I'm going to go grab some of my previous gift exchanges so I can show them off to give people ideas. Unless you already got one.
Well, I got one that's like sitting. Yeah, I've got two, actually.
Oh yeah.
I mean, 1 year. Yeah, I was going to say one
year.
One
was mine.
One of them is yours. So 1 year, Robbie was kind enough to make me a R2 magnet and a BB-8 that's somewhere around here. He did these himself, and he gave me a random magic card. Like, of all the things to give me, it's a random magic card. One card.
I don't even remember what it was. I just remember I think it was something after I spent hours working on that. Those things took forever.
That's true. Yeah, you gave me Sensei's Divining Top, so I can't complain.
Oh, that's right.
And then another year, I forgot who gave me this, but this is probably one of the coolest things I ever got. Flip Falcon. That it used to, but the battery died. It would actually do the Falcon theme song. So this is one of the cooler things. So the gift exchange is a great way to meet people, to just say thank you. It's a great way. It's fun. Like every year I try and make personalized cards for people. So if you want like personalized cards, I do those every year. I've done Game of Thrones, Firefly, personal AIs from like other stuff. I think and then I usually try and give AIs from the shows, like the movies and everything. So
Matt Carulli, our former design advocate and now technology advocate, thought it would be super funny back in 2015 to send me a bunch of Donald Trump Senate cards. So I've got my Senate hovercam saying Fox News and all this stuff on there. Little did he know the future he was predicting by doing such things. So I have an entire Senate, almost like singleton build of just cards dedicated to the 2016 presidential election.
So if you want to sign up for this, just go to the forums. It's just filling out a quick Google form. General stuff like your name, do you want to do international, what are some of your favorite decks, what other things do you like besides Star Wars. So it's like I said, this is one of the most fun things besides like actually going to events and meeting up with people and playing.
Right.
So
I mean, this is kind of this year's way of getting signed cards from people since we haven't been able to meet up in person.
yeah. So I think at this point, I think it's time we let Kendall do his interview with Chris Schoenthal. So Robbie and I will step back for a few. We have that interview that Kendall did in his time. So we'll be back after that interview is complete.
Hello and welcome to the segment. I guess we're calling it Corin on the Horn. Today I'm on the horn with our tournament advocate, Chris Schoenthal. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, this should be fun. So the reason that we're having you on, we'll dive right into it. We want to talk about Worlds. So what's the deal with Worlds this year?
Yeah, so obviously as things kind of have been progressing, or perhaps, depending on your opinion, regressing in terms of meeting in person, we realized a little while ago that an October in-person Worlds was pretty unrealistic, unfortunately, which is too bad because we always love seeing everybody's face and getting to hang out and drink some beers in a hotel room and play some Star Wars cards. But we have the gift that has been given to the community of GEMP, and so we decided to utilize that, and we're gonna have an online Worlds this year. It's a brave new world we're trying out, or a brave new worlds, maybe. I like that. Yeah. So due to the vagaries of online, I guess one positive that came out of it sort of is that we're able to give everyone across the world a better chance to participate because of GEMP, right, and because we're doing it online, which is neat. So people that maybe don't have the means or the time to travel to wherever Worlds is in a given year will this year have the chance to play from their own homes, which is really cool.
What details can you give about the online format?
Sure. So we decided to utilize the pod system sort of to allow that participation for our worldwide audience, and allow people in different parts of the world to have some agency in when they're going to have a chance to play the games. And this is all, to be clear, this is all tentative, so this may eventually change based on feedback, but so far we haven't gotten a lot of feedback that was details that we got wrong or that need changed, so I'm pretty happy about that. But we're going to have 4 pods on the first weekend, and we'll try and balance those pods to even out the numbers as much as possible, because we want to kind of give everybody the same shot. So we don't want a pod with like 50 people and then a pod with 20 people or something. But we'll have 4 pods starting at 4 different times that accommodate different time zones. And within that pod, each player will play 6 games, so 3 with each side. And at the end of that, everybody that has a 4-2 record from the pod will move on to the next weekend. So the first weekend is all pod play, 4 pods. Everybody will play as many of those 6 games as they want. And then the next weekend on Saturday, those players that went 4-2 or better will continue on with their same record and play another 4 games, still using SOS, still using, like I said, their same record, but they can switch decks. So if you play, mind what you have learned on day 1 for some reason, and that you can switch to watch your step on day 2 or something like that, and kind of juke people that way if you're interested. And then after those 4 games on Saturday, you'll have a 10-game record, essentially. And from those, the top 8 overall records by victory points and then by strength of schedule we'll move on to the top 8 of Worlds on Sunday, December 13th.
So top 8 will all be played in one day. We won't have a week and a half to play your match.
That is our intent. Although it is match play, so it's possible that we may need to extend that out, because obviously we prefer that. Obviously, for Worlds, like the top 8 doesn't really get decided by timing issues or scheduling or things like that. Like, we want to make sure we're as accommodating as possible.
Right.
But the plan right now is to play out the top 8 on Sunday. But like I said, that may change. But that's the goal, at least.
Trying not to editorialize here too much, but I really like that. I think that some events, when it takes a month and a half to play through the top whatever, you kind of lose some steam. And so I think with Worlds, especially with Worlds, because of how important it is, being able to do it as close to a real-time tournament event is really cool. So that sounds
and you get into deck selection issues, like since we're letting people switch each day, then you'd have to figure out, like, okay, well, if we're playing game 1 on a Tuesday, does it have to be the same deck if I advance to the next one that's on Saturday or whatever? So yeah, we're gonna do our best and accommodate people as best we can.
So now that we got that part out of the way, I want to talk to you about you a little bit, sort of. So you're the tournament advocate. I think it's very telling. When I put out for questions, when I was interviewing Chris Kelly, I got a lot of questions from people. I think because people know what a design advocate does. And I didn't get really very many. I mean, I got some people questioning your strategies in Among Us, but and also people commenting on your beard. So, that's, I guess that's something. But as far as what you do, I think that people don't really know what does a tournament advocate do. So what does your role involve?
Sure. Essentially, overseeing the organized play arm of the players committee, figuring out dates for majors, figuring out tournament questions, working on the tournament guide and rules to govern tournaments. Because there's 2 sides of an in-person card game, where you have and there's also separate issues with online, which is interesting too. But you have like the rules that govern the game that you're playing, but then there also have to be separate rules that govern what happens when you and I are sitting down to figure out which of us is better on a given day in a tournament setting. And so those rules have to also be parsed out, much like what Tim does for the game rules, I do for the tournament rules and things like that.
Okay. And then what is the tournament committee? Because you're also the head of the tournament committee. What is that an extension of that, or is there a more specific role for that group?
No, it's absolutely an extension of that. It's just that's my my team that helped me with those decisions. People that I've recruited, I suppose is a good term, that kind of have been around the block, know what good tournaments look like, how they function, some of the specifics that are unique to our game compared to other games where, obviously we have to run a tournament different than, for instance, Magic runs a tournament because we have 2 decks and they don't. We play 1 game and they don't. They play 3 best of 3 sideboarded games. And so there's a lot of uniqueness to this game, and that kind of the culture that's developed over the 20 plus years that people have been playing has allowed us to have a good group of volunteers that kind of know the ropes and know what the players want and what a tournament setting calls for.
Okay. So we're obviously in a unique time right now with the pandemic and everything, and majors have been moved to online play. Next year, or whenever it is that we can get back to in-person play, what do you see changing about in-person play or online play at that point?
That's a really interesting question. I think that I don't have necessarily a good grasp of what that's going to look like. I don't know. That's going to depend a lot also on kind of the state of the world. Whether there's a vaccine, things like that. I will say that we have been necessarily cautious in terms of potentially returning to in-person play, things like that, and trying to figure out when that's realistic. So I would say we're monitoring the situation is the best way to put it. So we'll make decisions that we feel are the best and the safest for the community. We obviously would love to get back to in-person play, because one of the great strengths of this game is the community and meeting in person and getting to hang out and, being up until 2 a.m. playing board games and just talking about this card game that we all shared for so many years. So we all want to get back to that. We all miss each other. But at the same time, we want to make sure that everybody's there when we get back. So
what about let's assume that things can more or less go back to normal. Obviously, we don't know, we don't know whether things will ever go back to the way they were before. But what about online play? Do you think that the fact that the success of the MPC, Texas Mini Worlds, and hopefully the success of Worlds will lead to more online majors? Or
yeah, it's an interesting question, and one that we don't entirely have an answer on. And shameless plug here, if you have an opinion on that matter, fill out the players survey that the Players Committee just recently released. It has several questions along those lines. For my personal opinion, I suppose I would say that, as I said before, like a lot of the in-person stuff is a lot of the reason that people care about the game and care about the community. So we want to make sure that we don't diminish that. We want to make sure that people are satiated and have enough of those in-person events that they get to see their friends several times a year and get to hang out and play where that's possible. That said, I agree that a lot of the online tournaments have been a great success, and huge thanks to Robbie Hendon and to Chris Gogolin and to Matt Carulli and everybody that's worked really hard on developing these robust online events. And I think they deserve huge credit for building that up, and additionally Matt Carulli for heading up the GEMP team and making sure that the servers are stable and we can have fair and reasonable events to play in. So I would say that it's very likely that we will still have some mixture of both, without compromising the number of in-person events. So if you play online, or if you're not in a location where you're able to easily get to a lot of the in-person majors, I would say there will still be opportunities for you to play some high-level Star Wars cards. But like we do still value kind of both sides of that equation.
Right. All right. And then the last thing that I like to do on whenever I interview people is go through my my Star Wars CCG Pivo questionnaire based off of James Lipton's Inside the Actors Studio. So what is your favorite card?
I suppose I'll cheat a little here and say Ellison Hinthra. That is my lone solitary contribution to the virtual card pool, and it survived the reset, which I was pretty proud of. And it sees play in a pretty good variety of decks, and it's nice. There was this may date me a little bit now, but there was a meme for a long time where whenever some problem with the metagame would crop up, someone in the post would inevitably say, well, some splashable space would be a solution to this problem, usually inserting whichever side it was. So like if Darkseid was having problems, a splashable Darkseid space would solve this problem. And I feel like Ellison Hinthra really fits in that niche really well. And so I love the design, and I'm really proud of it.
And Sheezlor's ship is a cool image, so it's nice to have that be playable. What is your least favorite card?
Least favorite card. I'm gonna say, I'll say Revolution. I've never been a fan of the sort of that sort of design space where you're kind of, and I'm sure that's one of those ones that maybe Decipher didn't intend as kind of a hateful card. They probably intended it as like oh, that's cool, you can use your opponent's game text sort of card.
Right.
But it's never used that way. It's always used as a choke card and a way to kind of prevent your opponent from playing the game, which I don't love. Right. So,
all right. What kinds of cards stimulate you creatively?
I think objectives that are somewhat open-ended, but do have like a focus and allow you to make some interesting choices. I would point to something like Watch Your Step, where obviously your card pool is pretty limited, but you can do creative things within that. So there have been builds across the years that used that their only kind of ground package was Palace Raiders with patrol crafts. There have been versions of Watch Your Step that were like Mains and Toys versions. There have been versions of Watch Your Step that were very space heavy, and the interrupt package, which is obviously an essential part of Watch Your Step, changes a lot with that. Lets you play some interesting stuff and make some unique decisions, and then it gives a lot of in-game decision making to both players, which I like.
Okay. What kinds of cards make you want to quit?
Again, I would point back to things like Revolution, Beggar, choke cards that diminish your options for playing the game and kind of pigeonhole you into fighting out of a strategy as opposed to trying to like both play a constructive game versus a destructive game, I suppose.
Are there any examples of cards in that category that haven't been shielded?
Not that I can think. I guess the closest one might be, and maybe it's been shielded and I missed it, but the Jawa Reticui has had some complaints in that category over the years, although it's obviously not as egregious as some of the ones that have been shielded, but that sort of thing that kind of limits options.
What is your favorite Star Wars term?
That's a fun one. I always like no, this is pod racing. That's one that I use a lot in everyday life when things are going absurdly.
What opponent's deck do you love to see?
I would say, like I said before, things that are kind of open ended to see where people have gone with their designs. I don't know of a good example, but things that give people options. Things like, oh, you took the deck in this direction, you used this kind of subset of cards versus this other possibility, and then being able to play it out in an interactive way, so it's not not PRM where it's like, oh, I'm just going to your sites and I'm reacting to you. It's more like I'm trying to do my thing, but maybe I should disrupt you a little bit here, and you can kind of have some good back and forth.
All right. What kinds of opponents' decks do you hate to see?
Mine, what you have learned.
Okay.
That was easy.
What Star Wars profession would you like to try?
I've been thinking about this one for a while. I had a few options on the table, but I think I would say some sort of piloting role. I'm sure, I guess Jedi, maybe it doesn't count as a profession. I don't know what my midichlorian count is, but I always felt like there was a lot of Jedi compared to the mystique surrounding them at some points. But I've always thought that maybe I might have some piloting skill. I feel like I'm a pretty good driver, and I was good at the old X-wing game, so I think maybe behind the stick of an X-wing, I could do some damage.
All right. What Star Wars profession would you want to avoid? Would you never want to try?
Probably a nerf herder. I'm not much of a farmer, so.
And they apparently have they make really bad pilots. So
that's right.
I think that's
Plus
I think
they're
that's
scruffy, and I am far from scruffy.
Yeah. All right. And finally, if God exists, what would you like to see him do with the future of the game?
I would say, there's a lot of room in this question for editorializing about licenses and, maybe using Lucasfilm images someday, which would be cool. Like it'd be great to kind of go back and fill in some of these things with official images. So that would be one answer, but I think a more realistic answer is just continuing to kind of grow the game organically, how it's been growing for 20 years, bringing people on board, bringing people back on board, and just allowing us to get together as a community and hang out and see old friends and make new ones.
All right. Well, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot for doing this interview with me, Chris, and good luck with all of your future endeavors. May the force be with you.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.
We are back from that interview, so thanks for watching, sticking around. Almost at the end of the show, just got a few more things to discuss. The first of them is if you're looking to meet up with fellow Star Wars players and you don't know about Slack and you really don't use the forums and you're looking for like more instant communication, well, the PC not only has their site and Slack, but we also have a Discord page. So I know a lot of us know what Discord is at this point. It's a really good site for, well, not only chatting, as you can see, like the different groups, but there's also voice communication,
which is how we're talking right now.
Yeah, Rob. Anytime we do the Holotheatre, we always use Discord to meet up and make sure everything looks good. But yeah, if you're looking to join, it's, again, I said it earlier, it's publicly searchable. So you just go to Discord and search for the PC. It's SWCCG, and boom, you're there.
And go ahead.
I was gonna say one thing that Discord will allow is it's a good way for people to stream video games. To say if you're looking to play against somebody on GAMP and they want to like watch it and everything, well, you can use this. You can screen share. It allows for all that stuff.
Yeah. One of the other things you can do is if you and your opponent are both on Discord in here, you can join one of our game channels and talk to your opponent as you play, which, for a lot of us, that's what I miss the most about, playing live versus playing online is the in-person interaction and the general trash talk or, blowing smoke at each other and just trying to mess around and have a good time. That's what I miss. And it's harder to do that when you're trying to type and press, buttons and click yes and pass and all this kind of stuff. Like, this allows you to kind of do that as well, which is really fun.
And
so
there's a lot of ways to discuss. They talk about decks. It's a good way for buying and selling. Like if you're looking for something, you can post it on here. We do have like a podcast and stream. So anytime we do a podcast or stream, we normally post about here. So it's used by a lot of the better known players. Like I see right here, Taco Bell is on. So Hayes Hunter. So there's a lot of people who use it.
It's just another chat tool. You can use Slack, you can use Discord, you can use both. There's no reason to limit yourself. The PC has lots of different tools like this to get the information out there and allow people to connect and play and and build the community aspect that we are really a part of.
And and like we said, it's a great way to meet individuals. And on a side note, if you do use Discord and you use Slack and everything, if you want to see like some new stuff, like some new emojis, or because I know a lot of people use them, we have our own on Slack. They're quite popular. Let us know if you want any, because we'll see what the graphics team can come up with. So see if there's any like iconic images or something from the game or the movies, if you that we can make into new emojis.
Yeah, and we're always looking for people that can kind of add to that little level of graphic design as well. So
yeah. Okay, so I think we only have one last thing to talk about tonight, and that is our deck building challenge winner. We also have to. So not only did we have our winner, but we had a player do something that is just impressive. So last week's challenge was to have a Jedi Master blow up the Death Star or the Death Star 2. The first person, Bill Kafer, said that you didn't have to win. So our first person who actually won was the Lux. So do you know who that is, Robbie?
no, I don't recognize the name.
I do not recognize it, but he posted a screenshot showing that the Death Star was blown up. Okay, so it's Sean. He's a Maryland player. Okay, Sean. Thank you, Bill.
Well, congrats to Sean.
He did post his deck. He posted his deck list. So congrats to Sean. It looks like he blew up the Death Star with he was using Massassi base operations.
Yeah, he used the Last Jedi Luke, old Luke, to blow it up. And then, I don't know about doing SWCCG TikTok. Sorry, Kendall. Unless you want to take the lead on it, you're more than welcome to. You can get your cat to join in. Do some good TikToking.
But on top of that, we also had Jared, who submitted a game of him blowing up the Death Star and the Death Star 2. Yeah, that is just incredible to me.
I'm not even sure how that person had enough force for like getting both of them blown up.
Yeah, but he submitted his GEMP link. He didn't submit any screenshots or anything, but he submitted the link. If you want to watch it happen, it is available. I believe he blew up the Death Star 2 with Luke, and he used Yoda to blow up the Death Star. So,
well,
definitely go on there.
It was all about blowing up that Death Star.
So for this week, though, we have something that might not be as easy, but is definitely cinematic. This week's deck building challenge is win a game after winning a duel against 3 Jedi Knights or Jedi Masters. So you got to bring it. So stuff like Maul, Epic Event. So the Circle's Not Complete, Vader's Obsession, and Maul Strikes. So you got to win with something like that.
Wait, does Bring Him Before Me duel technically count?
No, I don't think it's a duel, is it?
I thought it was. Because I remember Chew was using Sith Fury with it to make you lose force for it.
Well, I will go on record and say that card is going to be banned from this. So you can use the duels from that do not count.
That's fair.
That's a little too easy. So Bring Up Before Me is going to be banned for that reason.
Yeah, you may initiate a Luke and Vader duel, so it technically counts. So don't do that one.
Don't do that.
Be a real man. Be a real man. Play Epic Duel, Vader Obsession, Maul Strikes, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And Bill, just for a record, who won the deck building challenge for that you gave away? Was it Jared, or was it Sean?
Oh, I think we should just give it to them both. I mean, Sean did it. literally in 2 seconds, and then Jared just was like, "Hey, look
Yeah.
at this cool thing that I randomly pulled off that no one's
Yeah.
seen in 25 years of playing the
Okay,
game."
so Sean is the official winner because Bill was on last week, so I'm asking him. But who? Oh, so was Sean or Jared? Okay, so yeah, you're giving Jared the prize, and Sean is the official winner. Okay. So congrats to both of those guys.
Yep.
The duel challenge will start right at the end of the show, which actually is 10 o'clock
Come
Eastern.
Yep.
So I think that's a good way to wrap up for this week's episode. I want to thank Robbie for joining me as the co-host, Kendall coming on and interviewing Chris Schoenthal. We'll be back next week. Same Twitch channel, same Twitch time. Good night, everybody.
Have a good one.